Hi, Jimmy here, and in case you're new to the channel, I am an archaeologist and a reenactor from North Wales, and generally this channel focuses on medieval clothing, material culture, that sort of thing, and I needed a new pair of hose. Hose are your basic leg covering from, really sort of the end of the Roman Empire until the end of the medieval period, where they start to be replaced by, well, hose, but different kind of hose. The hose I'm talking about are the kind that go over the knee, so you might call them long socks if you want to be really reductive about men's fashion for the last 2,000 years. Zach, don't come for me. Then, effectively, gentlemen have been wearing a top and a bottom of some kind, and the length of socks has changed over the centuries. So we go from, in the early medieval and high medieval period, we have hose that are very, very long, like these ones, which is the subject of this video, that go up to the thigh, up to the buttock at the back, to the modern day where we have socks that are sort of that big, and shorter if you like those socks where you can't see the socks but you are wearing them under your shoes, which I think is a nifty idea, but I don't really like people seeing my ankles. But I needed a new pair of hose, because my old hose are lovely and they're hard wearing, but they're made of a very rough wool, and I wanted a finer pair, and I had a load of this pink wool left from making my big pink Viking trousers. They don't come off as particularly pink on camera, but they are pink, I assure you. They're sort of mottled Barbie pink. And I thought I'd make myself a pair of hose with it, and that way I have a very Viking pair of big pink baggy pants, which are great for if I'm doing 10th century Scandinavian reenactment, but they're not great if I need to be a Frenchman of the 14th century, par exemple. And so I thought, right, I'll make myself a pair of these hose. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I haven't finished them. I started them about 3 months ago, and I have made one of them, and here it is. But the process of making clothes doesn't always have to be last-minute sewing before an event. It can be something that you enjoy and take your time over. This is meant to be a hobby, after all, as well as this being my job now. The reenactment side of it is still my hobby, and it's still nice to have an afternoon just sewing things with my friends. So the process is going to be a gentle one. It's going to involve lots of cups of tea and lots of nice aesthetic shots of my really cool pincushion. So these big pink hose aren't the most historically authentic thing for the early medieval period, because most of the hose that we have from the early and indeed the high medieval period are not fitted to the leg. And all of the pictures that we have make it look like the hose of the period were all beautifully bias cut with this figure-hugging pattern, right? You think you're going to get the thigh bulge out at the knee, in, out at the calf, and then in at the ankle. Most of the patterns we have don't look like that. They look a lot straighter. There are exceptions. Most of these tend to be very high status, so for Holy Roman emperors and kings and that sort of thing. But you do get quite close-fitted hose. And later in the period, late medieval hose and Tudor hose, we do have examples of patterns where they're more fitted. If you look at patterns from things like the Tudor tailor, they have some patterns based on originals that look very much like they have that look. So I went for that. I decided to make mine form-fitting. I'm making them out of scraps. Well, I'm making them out of remnants of the pink cloth from the big pink pants, and I had enough to make them fitted. There was no way, though, that I could make thigh-high, buttock-height hose without having to piece them about 2/3 of the way up. So this is just above the knee. You'll see later that it's just around knee height, and there was no way that I could make these, fitted or unfitted, without having to piece them. And you're absolutely right, the seams do not match at the back. I don't care, that is a centimetre difference in those seams, and that's absolutely fine. They don't need to be perfect, but quite satisfyingly, the seams on the foot match up spot on. So basically, I took my cloth and I started cutting it out and making the hose and forgot to film it all. So this is all done after the fact. My second hose, you can see, has the piecing already pinned in place. I've tested it out and it works, it's fine, it doesn't cause discomfort, it doesn't seem to be a particular weakness. I have been doing some lovely, strong, fine back stitches. I think Bernadette would approve of them. There's like a stitch every couple of millimeters, so I'm doing my very, very best to stitch these in a way that means that they will stay in one piece as long as possible. Get more than one wash out of them if I'm careful. Not that I'll wash them. Well, not in a machine anyway. So, my big pink hose are in process. I've gone for a form-fitting pattern, a later medieval pattern, but they will give me the look right the way through. These will be wearable as hose from, I mean, effectively the 10th century through to the 15th century, as sort of semi-fashionable wear, early 15th. Split hose means that I'm going to have a gap at the top. These are two separate legs, right? They don't have a crotch piece or a bum piece or a seat. They are instead tied to my brays, my medieval underpants at the waist, using ties that I have sewn on to the hose. Right, so this is all one piece. This is now my hose, and I've put a reinforcing triangle at the back so it doesn't tear itself to bits. The process of sewing them has been quite gentle. I've been doing it a little bit here and there. Some of you will know I have some injuries to my shoulder, to my forearms. I'm susceptible to tendinitis because I am a knitter, I sew, and I play the cello. So all of that comes together and means that I have to take my time over this project. But excitingly, I've also got a podcast which is coming out the same day as this video. It's called Steeped in History. You can find it on Audio Boom. You can find it on Apple Music. You can find it on flipping Spotify. My amazingly talented friend Annika designed a super cool logo for it, so go and check it out. There's 2 episodes up on the day that this video comes out, and we're going to have guests on. We've got some super cool guests lined up. I have episodes ready to go that have some amazing people. We have academics, we have YouTubers, we have historians, we have people that I just love and respect coming on to the podcast to talk about tea, to talk about books, and to talk about a year in history that they find fascinating. So do go and check out my new podcast. It's called Steeped in History, because I like tea and history. Get it? Knew you'd get it. You're super smart. Anyway, the foot pieces are interesting on these hose, on this pattern, because the feet only go up to sort of the 2/3 of the way up your foot. They come to the base of the front of your ankle. The heel is integral to the leg. So the heel is right here. This is my heel. That's my snoot touching my heel. There you go. And then the front of the foot goes to the front, and it has a seam on the bottom. So the seam goes to the bottom. Does it make it uncomfortable? No, because this is basically the same pattern as I used for my previous hose, and it felts up and it just rubs up beautifully and becomes this nice, cozy, matted surface rather than like an unpleasant feeling underneath your foot. It's quite magical, it really is. Wool is the best material, as we all know. All in all, in terms of the labour and the cutting out, this has been made from about 1 metre, and both of them have been made from about 1 metre of cloth by about 3/4 of a metre of cloth and some scraps. I cut the feet out of scraps, full scraps. They wear fine. I think they look pretty good. I don't know about you. I think that the fit on these hose is pretty nice. They're sewn with red wool thread, with red linen thread, I beg your pardon, that I got from York Viking Festival last year. I think they look pretty good. There's a bit of a blip at the back of the calf on my first one, which I'm just gonna soften that curve a little bit with some additional sewing, and I think that'll sort it out. I think that'll be fine. It wrinkles in the right places, which is the ankle, around the bottom of the knee, and it has a kind of authentic bagginess to the top of the leg, which I need to be able to tuck my brays in. Gives you visible panty line, but you know, that bit's going to be under a tunic, unless I'm wearing a super duper short 15th century tunic, in which case I will wear shorter underwear, which they wore. So I think it looks pretty darn good. You can see the way that if you gartered these under the knee, you would get a really tight fit to the calf. Like, you can see my cyclist's calf muscles if you really gartered it at the knee. So at some point, I might get a nice garter, which were worn throughout the medieval period to various extents by men, and were very, very popular as accessories. The foot and the leg are both cut on the bias. and I matched up the cut as close as I could for all of them, so we don't get different wear and stretch patterns. But cutting it on the bias is more wasteful of cloth. But because, again, I had the cloth, it's not going to be 2 more garments after this. This is the second set of garments because I made my big pink pants. This is the second project from this piece of wool. I didn't need to be super careful about saving fabric. The rest of the cabbage is going to go into stuffing things, it's going to go into lining things and that kind of stuff, so I didn't need to be super critical on that. And cutting it on the bias means you get that extra stretch, right? You get that diagonal stretch of the wool. It's absolutely beautiful. In fact, demonstrate the stretch on this. There we go, here we go. That was terrible. Maybe it's not right near the seam, how about that? There you go. That's not really demonstrating it very well on the camera, but there you go. How's that? How's that for a stretch fabric? Yeah, wool, the original stretch fabric. So there's a good, I'd say there's a good 7 or 8 mil of stretch there. So I'm really happy. The hose are great. They don't come quite up to the buttock, which is what I wanted, because I wanted these to be higher than my previous hose. My previous hose, my brays would untuck from them, and you would see just this mess of brays untucking from my hose, and it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look fitted, right? Imagine if it's the equivalent to like your shirt untucking when you're wearing a suit if you reach your arms up. It just looks slovenly. It's about 2 inches below my buttock, which is fine. Eagle-eyed viewers will notice that it is now dark outside because my camera battery died, so welcome to 6 p.m. on the 25th of February. Yeah, so it's 2 inches below the buttock. That's fine. There's enough fabric. There's like a foot of fabric in my brays for me to be able to tuck it in. So no point do I think I'll be worried about my brays untucking. You've seen me flexing my various poses in them. So overall, lessons to be learned. I think try to match your pieces up as accurately as you can, so you do get the seams all meeting in the same place if you want that. If you don't want that and you don't want that bulk, then don't worry too much about it. I don't think I've learned that many lessons on this project, to be honest with you guys. I've made like 2 or 3 pairs of hose in my time, so I haven't learned a vast amount, but I have enjoyed the project so far, and I'm still enjoying it. I'm actually putting lots of time and effort into making little stitches and into flat felling the seams and doing nice seam treatments to make it look elegant. I think I have developed an appreciation for taking time and relaxing into my projects a lot more, which has yielded great results. So I think the main lesson here is take your time over your project and it will reward you with being an elegant, well-made, strong piece of clothing. I recently watched Bernadette's rant about poorly made clothes, and it is true. Everything that she says in that video is true. Take time, take effort, take pains to make the clothes that you want to make, and you will get the clothes that you want. So, yeah, diolch yn fawr iawn am wylio. Do not forget to go and check out Steeped in History. It is up, it is live, it is there, it is going to go up every 2 weeks, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I'm really pleased with the first couple of episodes, so I hope that you enjoy it. Thank you to Annika for designing the logo for me. Thank you to Jade, Mike and Karen for making all of that happen, and thank you, diolch yn fawr, to all of you for watching the video. If you want to support the channel, you can like, you can subscribe, and you could go to the Patreon if you want, or the Coffee page if you want to chuck me a couple of quid and support the channel financially. But as ever, diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd am wylio. Thank you very much to all of you for watching, and tan y tro nesa, till the next time, hwyl am y tro. Bye for now. I'm going to go and put some trousers on.